we had a break last week.
Yes.
So I would just like us to spend perhaps 1, 2, 3 minutes just to get everybody up to speed, all right, with what the conversation has been so far, so that we can have a refresher.
Of course, and it's very important because it leads right up to into today's conversation. So, part one was knowing your numbers, tracking your expenses, tracking your income, knowing what you own, what you owe, etc. Just getting an idea of where you stand. Part two was setting your goals, those SMART goals. Where is it that you want to be? So we established where we currently are.
Mm-hmm.
We established what our destination we wish to be.
Absolutely.
What we're going to do now, we're going to plot the course, how we're actually going to get that destination.
Okay.
And that is where our budget comes in. Our budget is what's going to take us from where we are to where we want to be.
Okay, fantastic stuff. So as you've heard it now, we spoke about awareness. We spoke about the importance of having SMART, specific, measurable goals. And now we're going to have a conversation, inshallah ta'ala, about taking control. Why control matters. Why South Africans avoid budgeting. Healthy view of budgeting. That is what we want to leave with. Last week was quite a stormer, Anwar, because we had so many people sharing their stories, right? Phenomenal conversations about, this is where I was, and this is everything that I had to go through to get where I am now, right? Powerful stories of individuals having, 4, 5, 3,000 rand. And it was never about how much money they earned, but it was the way that they used each cent. The consciousness of applying.
In fact, I've had so many people ask me, Anwar, how did that guy get by on that amount of money?
Absolutely.
And it comes back to, it's not what we make or what we earn, but what we keep and how we manage it. Right?
It's not what we make nor what we earn, but it's about how we keep it and how we manage it. I like
exactly. Right. So if we look at, for example, someone can earn 100,000 rand and spend it all on something that brings no value, meaning on consumption. Remember that word of last week, at consumption. They can spend 100,000 and purely consume it, or they can earn 10,000 rand and find even 20%, which you can use to, what's the opposite of consume? To build. So that's what you want to think. Money can be used to consume, it can be used to build, it can obviously be used for both. But the question is, when you consume it all, we're left with nothing left to build. So we want to focus on, when we look at that budget, not just how we're going to consume that money, but also what portion can go towards building it. And in fact, I almost want to change the word budget, because when you hear budget, very much when somebody's speaking about health and fitness, like the word diet. And
yes, correct. Yeah, it's about cutting.
It's about restriction.
Yeah.
So when you hear the word budget, you think restriction. When you think you need to get in shape, you have to go on a diet, you think about restriction. But if I can just borrow a word from that, normally what we do these days, we don't talk about the diet, we talk about an eating plan. So let's flip the script and let's not talk about a budget, let's talk about a spending plan. So in other words, a plan.
I'm already feeling more confident.
How are we going to spend our money? So not how we're going to restrict our money, but how we're going to spend it. And what it does is it gives us two things. It gives us intention and it gives us purpose.
Okay.
So what is intention? Intention means I know where I want my money to go. Purpose means that the money is doing something which I want it to do, right? At the same time, what I want, a word that and I'm not going to take credit for it because I heard it somewhere else. There's a word that comes to, was saying that comes down, which is conscious spending. Meaning when you spend money, you are conscious of where it is going to and what the purpose of it is. And if we can just have it conscious, instead of, think about it, unconscious spending, the opposite. Tapping, not being aware of that 10 rand parking, not being aware of that coffee, not being aware of that takeaways. That is unconscious spending. What you want to be is conscious. So what's the difference? You know what? I like my coffee. So I'm going to budget 750 rand for the month for my coffee, and I'm consciously going to enjoy my coffee.
So it's not whenever I want and feel like it, but is it fitting in my plan?
There we go.
And I will spend and I will use and consume accordingly.
Correct. Why? Because we don't have unlimited resources, we have limited resources.
That's true, yeah.
So the problem is sometimes we spend like we have unlimited resources. So for those who did economics at school or at varsity, remember the age-old problem is how do we satisfy unlimited needs and wants with limited resources? In practical terms is what is our limited resource? Our budget. So we have to determine how do we make our budget work in a way that at the end of the month we're actually fulfilled by what we have spent our money on, rather than feeling our money went nowhere and I have nothing to show for it. I think the best phrase to describe it, once again not my own, is a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went.
Yeah, it's like conscious direction, like you're saying, conscious consumption, being aware, being in control.
Exactly.
Okay, fantastic. So we sort of had a bit of a recap. We introduced the conversation for what we're going to be focusing on for most of this particular segment. There's one or two things that I would also like to have tapped on, but we do require and request, we encourage one and all 0829913 That's the conversation to get involved and get in touch with us. Now, Anwar, if we talk about people, right, and budgeting, right, and how they are so scared of this entire concept, why do you believe people avoid this concept in general?
The very first thing is the ostrich in the head in the sand syndrome. They fear what you're going to see, myself included.
Fear what they're going to
You
see.
fear what you're going to see.
We
You
want the
know,
ostriches to be doing the same thing.
exactly the same thing. So fear of seeing the truth, right? So sometimes it's just better to avoid that issue than to confront it.
Yeah.
And sometimes we feel shame. Oh, why am I spending so much on this? Where's the money going? And remember we spoke that a lot of times we attach emotion to our money. So one of that emotions is also shame, which we want to remove. Remember, we want to remove that emotion. It could be that we're past failed attempts. I tried a budget, but it never worked, right? It could feel that it feels like punishment. I'm being restricted. Why am I controlled in where I can give my money? And what happens is a lot of times we try a budget which is a one size fit all. But remember, we go back into money personalities. A spender needs a different type of budget to a saver, needs a different type of budget to a planner. For example, a spender, you want to prioritize, that is your spending money, that's your limit, and the rest is restricted.
Yeah.
A saver, you actually want to say, hang on, you need to enjoy life a bit, so let's put some money away, right? A planner, you need to say, there needs to be some flexibility because life is not rigid. So what you want to do is you want to find the right budget plan that works for you. Don't use a rigid plan if you're not a rigid person. If you need a bit more flexibility, then perhaps have a plan that has a bit more flexibility. And the same like the diet, right? We're not going to eat chicken and rice and broccoli 7 days a week if we're going to go on a diet. We're going to have an eating plan. We're going to have a variety of proteins, a variety of carbs.
Things in there, sweet and sour.
Exactly, a bit of flavor sauce, a bit of salt. And guess what? On the weekend, you have your slice of cake, you have your burger, etc. So it's not about total restriction. So the same way, yes, when you set up your budget, you're going to see what are those things that I need to take care of first, right? The must-haves.
The must-haves.
But you're also going to say, what are the things that actually makes my life worth living? Because let's honest, if we're only paying bills and only paying the must-haves, life's going to get pretty mundane.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is you want to set those categories. So you know what, I can go eat out a bit if it allows for. I can do this, but what you're going to do, you're going to set guardrails.
Yeah.
You don't overstep the bounds.
Yeah.
So those nice things, we're not saying don't do it. We say know what your bounds is, know what the limits are, and work within that. So you can still enjoy your takeaway meals, you can still enjoy your movies, you can still enjoy your whatever your entertainment is, but set guardrails so you don't exceed what you must spend on those particular categories.
And what I love about what you're saying here, and just to guide everybody here, when we talk about the spending person with the money or the finance personalities, they should go on the website,
Correct.
the financial planner, so that they can discover what their personality types are.
Yes.
Firstly, and know which category you fall in. And it's about not leaning to one extreme. It was something that you mentioned that made my heart skip a beat. Because you spoke about it's not all about one particular thing, man. So I would imagine if you are waking up tomorrow morning or listening to this program and, okay, I want to make a change, and you don't make the change in the right way, and then you cold turkey, right? Tomorrow, you do the complete opposite of your spending personality or your finance or your money personality. What happens now is that there will come a point, and I mean, I don't know, maybe you can relate, right? As listening to the conversation, you just have one day where you relapse and you clear the account on something like the diet, with the food, like with the money, and you spend, you're saving, and then you just hit a moment where it's just like you're gonna blow it all, you're gonna eat it all, you're gonna do it all.
So think of it as an elastic band. If you stretch that elastic band too tight,
too quick,
and too quickly, what's happening is snap back. So let's go back to the analogy. You say, Anwar, I want to get trim, lose a bit of weight. Now you go on a chicken, rice, broccoli 7 days a week. You do that for 2 weeks. What happens at the end of it? You say no ways, and you go stop by a bakery and you finish off, I don't know how many cakes, how many hot dogs, how many burgers, totally against that. But if you say, hang on, come Sunday, you're allowed to have that slice of cake, you're allowed to have that, and you're looking forward to it.
You work for it.
You're going to work for it. You're going to keep yourself in it, and come Sunday, you're going to enjoy that. And chances are, you're not even going to overindulge, right? Because you know the reward is coming out. The same thing. If you say, hang on, I'm going to stick to within these categories, but I'm also allowing myself these little treats. Now, if you know you allow yourself at treats, you can say, hang on, I can allow myself this treat whenever I need it, and within reason.
Correct.
What does it do? It doesn't go to extremes. Now you're operating in, let's call it in that thing where you're not going too strict, you're not going too wild, and it's much easier to maintain. Right? So the very same thing. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to say today you went on by having your 2 or 3 cups of coffee to tomorrow you're having no coffee at all. Let's face it, that's not going to happen. So you want to keep it realistic.
Moderation.
And moderation. Where I see most budgets fail is where they look perfect on paper. Everything is that, but it's not realistic. You can't really follow it. You're not making allowances for the things that you actually normally spend money on. So going too strict on paper, going too strict, trying to keep the super strict can be as challenging as not having a budget at all. So that's important. It's not about going from one extreme to the other extreme. It's finding that medium that works. Remember, at the end of the day, what we want is something that works, that's going to take us financially forward. Different methods work for different people. Different type of budgets work for different people. Different levels of strictness work for different people.
That's true.
So what you need to do is you need to find something that actually works for you, that you can stick for it. Same like go back. Some people going to diet and they find a keto diet works for them. Some find just a normal balanced diet of just eating normal haze course as long as you don't eat too much works for them. The important thing is finding something that works for you. Why? If it works for you, what's going to happen? You're going to stick to it. And that's what we want. We want to be able to stick to it, not this week and then next week I fall off the wagon and the following week, because you're trying to be too extreme. So beware of being too extreme as well.
Well, you see, what I love about this conversation now is that it gives one an opportunity to find their way.
Yes.
And if you're a week or two in and you find out, okay, this is not working for me particularly, now you get to adjust, and now you get to reset.
Recalibrate.
Without losing yourself. Absolutely.
So now you say, wait a minute, maybe on that category I was a bit too strict. Maybe in that category I was allowing a bit too much spending. I can curb on that. So what it is, it's setting up the initial, let's call it budgeting framework, and then see, does it actually work for me, right? So there's certain categories you obviously want to focus on. Now, the category that I always say you want to focus on is a word. So there's a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. I don't know if you heard about it.
Too many times.
And the first rule it says, I watched the YouTube highlights.
Okay, lovely.
Pay yourself first. All right, so the first rule of budgeting is pay yourself first. What does that mean? It means put money away for your future self. Now, what is an ideal amount? If you can, 20%. Right? So if you can take 20% and say, this 20% I'm not going to spend, whether it's a want, whether it's a need, I'm going to put it away. I'm paying myself first. This is to my future self. If you can just do that already, then you're ahead of 90% of people.
20%. Yes. Okay. Give me a second from that. We're going to take some commercials. We'll come back Can you give 20%? Let's find
To
out.
yourself.
Financial educator talking about taking control. How do we get a better sense of hold over my finance? Okay, especially for this beautiful month of December. Now, Brother Anwar, how should people think about budgeting instead? As you mentioned, we started off by restating this idea of what budgeting is, right? And there was a very interesting term that you used, spending plan.
Yes,
Was that it?
exactly.
Then we had a conversation about why people find it so daunting to budget and even avoid budgeting. Okay? And we have become ostriches, putting our heads in the ground, believing that if I don't see anything, there'll be no threats around.
Exactly.
And how ridiculous is a concept like that? But that's what we do on a daily basis. When last did you look at your bank statement? When last did you have a look at your current account? All right, current statement. Okay, especially after the bank loves you so much for sending you so many late night messages. Ping, 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 ping.
Of course.
So I mean, you mentioned something very interesting. 20%, 20%, as the richest man of Babylon mentions, you spend on you, or rather, you spend on yourself, or you invest on yourself first.
Pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first.
So it's something.
But it's your future self.
Yes, your future self. So think about this. It might sound crazy, but how much are we paying towards a celebrity selling his the Jordans? Michael Jordan has enough money for you to pay him towards his Jordan shoes. Bill Gates or whatever has enough money for you to spend towards whatever it is. What's the guy, Henry that owns Louis Vuitton? He has enough money. Why are we giving all these multi-billionaires more of our money
More and more.
instead of
Lay-by.
giving money to ourselves? So
Yeah.
think about it. Where is your money going to? Right? So have an honest look and see is it going to yourself or is it going to someone else? So what do we mean going to yourself? Going to yourself obviously means that it needs to fulfill certain needs, roof over your house, food, transport, etc. Those are needs that have to be fulfilled. But if we are going and spending items, let's call it name brand items for lack of a word, designer items, beyond what we can actually afford.
Yeah.
In whose money are we actually putting, in whose pockets are we actually putting that money in? Who are we enriching by spending money on things that brings no value? So remember when I say about value, is it putting money in your pocket? Is it providing for a need that is important? Is it going towards a want that brings fulfillment? Or is it just simply going to things with a label and you're simply making that other person or that other entity rich? Now make no mistake, if you are putting away your 20% towards your future self and with the remaining 80% you can buy all those nice things by all means. But if you are not putting money towards yourself, yet you are spending it on those things that are not bringing value, is it the best use of your hard-earned money?
Is it the best use of your hard-earned money? I mean, what a question, Brother Anwar. If we are to have this next part, okay, how do we shift the tides? How do we shift the change? And how should we start thinking about budgeting? How should we start thinking about the ability to plan better?
Okay.
Take control.
So look at it this way. You need to start thinking of your money, your income as a tool. And how do we best utilize this tool? So if money is a tool, it means that it needs to be directed somewhere, it needs to be given a purpose.
Okay.
That purpose could be feeding myself. That purpose could be putting a roof over it. That purpose could be entertaining me. That purpose could be bringing me joy in some way, shape, or form. Right? So first thing you want to do is you want to determine what do you want your money to do for you. Right? So there's a number of things. What do you want your money to do for you? That is going to give your money direction. Now to simplify it, And to make it a bit more practical, right? There's going to be expenses that you have to cover. And there's going to be expenses that you can choose whether or not you want to have, right? Then there's also going to be expenses that are fixed every month, no matter what you do, and those expenses that can vary. So what you want to determine is what are those expenses that I need to pay every month that is fixed. Why? There you have no room to play with. That must be paid. So be it your rent, be it your bond, be it your car payment, be it your school fees, be it your various insurances, whatever the case may be. So that's the first point you want to do. That you have no choice, right? Then you want to look at, okay, what's the things that I need to spend money on, but it could vary month to month. That's your groceries, your electricity, your petrol, etc. And what you want to see there is, am I in control of that? Because one of the biggest ways that we overspend is on food and groceries. Yeah. So am I aware how much I'm spending on food and groceries? Am I underestimating am I overestimating? Then once that is covered, your fixed expenses, your fixed living expenses, your variable living expenses, now you have, okay, what is the amount of money that I have left that I can have fun with, that I can put towards a holiday, that I can go to the movies, that I can buy takeaways, that I can buy something on Temu.com or whatever it is you want to do with it. Because, right, now that you have a purpose for all that money, you have to ask yourself, well, I have X amount of rands and I want to direct it into that way. Those two numbers need to match.
Yeah.
Right? So you say, Anwar, it's quite obvious. I mean, if money coming in is always going to equal money coming out, unfortunately, it's not true. Because it's very easy to spend more than what we make. Once again,
like you said,
on your credit, right? So we would think that it's easy. Oh, if I make 10 rand, I can only spend 10 rand. It is so easy to make 10 rand and spend 12 rand without even realizing it. Now, if you didn't plan where your 10 rand is going to go, that's when it becomes very easy for you to end up spending 12 rand. And then what happens? You go back and think, but where did that 2 rand go? Where did that 3 rand go? Right? So what you want to do is you want to avoid that. So instead of being reactive at the end of the month and thinking, where did it go? We want to be proactive, plan it, see, okay, maybe I underestimated that cost, maybe I allowed too much for that, and then work it, right? So it's about being purposeful, having a plan, adjusting the plan, seeing where the plan needs improvement, and constantly working. And what's the end goal is we want to come out that firstly we have a surplus. That's the ideal scenario. And that surplus, if it can be 20%, we can put it away towards our future self. Yeah. The balance, we want to take care of our living expenses, but we also want to take care of enjoying our life. Yeah. Right? So it's about balance. That's the most important thing. And if I can use one word, is balance. Not too much of one, not too much of other, but getting your money to do, let's call it, as much work as possible. And getting something back that is meaningful. So what is getting something back as meaningful? If I value health and fitness and I spend money on a gym membership and supplements, that could be meaningful. But had I spent the money on takeaways and some other things, it's not meaningful. I wasted the money. Same spendage, but it didn't go in a way that was meaningful for me. So the budget is going to help you set that up.
I see. Well, I mean, there you had, I hope you had your pens and paper out, because as Brother Anwar spoke about how important it is to start off with knowing what it is that your essentials are, or rather the things that must go off, your rent, electricity, and all of the school fees and whatnot. Category number 2, that is your groceries and things that you need for the house. Category number 3, things that you enjoy doing and things that you want to have a bit of fun with. And then number 4, this is where just sort of unplanned,
yes,
that fourth element, right? But also, like you said, better to pay yourself first, put that 20% away, and make sure that it's given proper, what's the word you used? Intention and purpose. Powerful ingredients.
There you go.
Now, in terms of a practical, about South Africa's household budget include, as you mentioned, those are all the different categories. And now in talking about budgeting realistically versus ideally, what do you think?
So budgeting realistically is important. So how do you budget realistically? Firstly, go back to step one. Know your numbers, right? So remember, before you build your budget, you don't want to just use random numbers that you now think works. You want to start by, okay, if I go through my numbers, go through my bank statement, I can start getting an idea. Okay, wait a minute. Yes, that's my fixed cost for rent, insurance, etc. So you got those fixed costs. The big problem is your variable costs, your electricity, your groceries, your fuel. So what you want to do is you then want to go through it and then get an idea of what you're currently spending on those variable costs. Because a lot of times I'll sit with clients and they'll say, okay, what is your groceries for the month? They'll say 3,000. I say, 3,000, are you sure? Does that include that spur meal? Does that include that KFC? Does that include that? Oh, you mean everything? Yes. Oh, it's actually 5,000. Now, you can then say, okay, I thought I was spending 3,000, but I'm actually spending 5,000. That is on your actual. Now you want to say, okay, when I budget, can I actually afford 5,000? You know what, actually, I can actually only afford 4,000. So let's work on 4,000. Be aware that I've been overspending on my food. I need to make changes there. So it's also about knowing what you have been spending, or I didn't know I was spending 2,000 in coffee. Maybe I should bring it down to 1,000. So now when I plan my budget, I understand that was a category of overspending. So you want to look at, when you do know your numbers, you want to identify those leaks. You want to identify those categories that you're either underestimating your expenditure or you're overspending. Now from that knowledge, you can build a realistic budget. If you were spending 2,000 on coffee, you can't do a budget that spends 100 Rand on coffee. That's not going to work. If you were spending 6,000 on groceries and you feel, hey, that's a bit much, you can't say, I'm going to spend 2,000 groceries. That's not going to work. It may sound great that you're going to save that much money. So you say, okay, I'm spending 6,000. Let's see if I can bring it down to 5,000, and let's see how I can work. So make it realistic, and how you make it realistic is by comparing it to what your past actual expenditure has been. Now at the same time, you also want to identify, hang on, maybe I was overspending in those areas and I need to cut down. Then you have to ask, how do I cut down effectively as well? Because just saying, oh, I'm going to go from spending 6,000 to 4,000 means nothing. Because you're going to say, hang on, I was buying by that shop, maybe I need to buy by that shop. I was buying one item at a time, maybe I need to buy in bulk. So it's not just a matter of saying I'm going to spend this, it's also about, okay, how am I going to spend this? I've been spending 3,000 on takeaways. Okay, what I'm going to do? I'm going to take lunch to work. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. It's not just saying, I want to spend less. What are the actions that you're going to take to make you spend less? So, for example, I'm going to spend less on groceries. I'm going to spend less on takeaways. How? By doing, for example, meal prep. So it's also about making it practical. Not just saying I'm going to cut from there to there. How are you going to cut it from there to there? Oh, I'm going to cut down from petrol. How are you going to cut down from petrol? Oh, I'm going to carpool. So when you say I'm going to cut down, you also have to present how exactly you're going to do it. Yeah.
No, that's not the.
Oh, yes. Okay.
That's sort of the. Okay.
Yes,
so that will go off in 3 minutes, 1 minute time. Okay.
Yeah.
We wrap up in 1 minute. Okay. Okay. So that will be going off shortly, inshallah ta'ala. So, brother, it was.
I know.
Just for the show that was done. So yes, we had one more thing that we needed to go through very quickly. We have about a minute left.
Yes.
Let's just tackle that very quickly, Bismillah.
Yeah. So one of the things that often comes is when clients say, but Anwar, my budget is not budgeting. No matter where I look to cut down, no matter where I used to cut. I've cut down my once, but somehow I just can't cut down. So what I tell those clients is 2 levers you can pull. One is to increase income, right? Side hustles, etc. And we're going to cover that on a later episode. How do you look at it? Not just about cutting down, it's also about increasing income. The other way is to say, well, where can you cut? Now, if you can't cut by your expense, if you cut it down to the bone, the other place you can look at is, well, if I have debt repayments, how can I reduce that? Now, many clients that find their budget is not budgeting. They often find the culprit is the debt repayments. And they say, Anwar, if I didn't have these repayments, I'll actually do quite fine.
Yeah.
So what can one do when you find that your budget is simply making because there is too much loans and that is not making it? Well, that is where we can assist with something called debt counseling. And what it simply does, it says that if you're in a position where what is known as over-indebted, meaning your income cannot cover both your expenses and your debt, then you may qualify actually to have your debt restructured and actually pay less. And how that is done is by negotiating a lower interest rate with your creditors. So you could be paying 28% on your credit card. We can bring it down to 2%. You could be paying 13% on a vehicle. We can bring it down to say 9%. What's the effect, right? Is that you can often find that your loan expense can reduce anywhere from 20% to sometimes 50% of what you're paying. And we can both agree that that gives a lot of relief on your budget.
Absolutely.
Right? So if your debt repayments is what's putting strain on your budget, that is something you can look at.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. Anwar, we'll chat more about that. If you want to find out more, we'll give the link as well as the number of Anwar below, the financial educator. Shukran so much, my brother.
Afwan.
Beautiful week further.
Yes.
And we look forward to step number 4.
Yes, exactly, which will be building our emergency fund, our foundation. Right? So emergency fund is our just in case of emergency break glass. Right? That is where we go when life happens instead of reaching out for another loan.
Ameen, inshallah. Until next time, Brother Anwar, we'll see you inshallah next week Tuesday. Stay safe,
Inshallah.
inshallah.